Hello, Little Falls. It's just Jeffrey joining you from the Paterson Great Falls National Historical Park. And we are being joined today by Michael Perez, who is one of the park rangers here.
That's correct. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for having us. And you're going to be giving this amazing tour.
Yes, I am. Can't wait to start.
And we're starting with the man himself.
Yes, Alexander Hamilton. Not being native here, he would actually make his way from the British West Indies in the 1750s. When he would make his way here to realize that he would need to get an education, where he would go to King's College to get that education. While there, he would overhear that there would be a movement brewing. Now that movement would eventually become the Revolutionary War. Now during this movement, they would eventually make their way here, allegedly at our site, where at our cliffside, they would actually have a picnic. Now during this picnic, they were discussing what their next steps were going to be for the Revolutionary War, and they realized, well, we need to make ourselves independent. But how? We were borrowing a lot of our supplies from our allies, who were our French at the time, and eventually they would make their way here and realize, well, we need to make ourselves independent with supplies. We need to make our own supplies. And they believed that this would be the perfect place to do it with the water power that is right behind me, the waterfall itself. Now, eventually they would realize, well, the waterfall, it's very powerful, but they can't harness just that power. They need to harness not the waterfall itself, but the river, where they would eventually come back here in 1791. Alexander would form an organization that would be called the SUM organization. That stands for the Society for Establishing Useful Manufacturing. And with that organization being formed, this would eventually lead to him actually starting the seed that we're all standing in now, the city of Paterson, becoming the first planned industrial city of the nation here. So this section is the start of our actual canal system, called the raceway system, where we would actually decide to make our first power source here. Now, well, why we did this was mainly because after Alexander came here to actually, one, create the SUM organization, we realized, well, in order for us to really get started, we need to make a power source and also to start building our city. So in 1792, he would eventually decide to start planning the city. But he needed a little assistance. With that assistance, he would introduce our second governor of New Jersey. His name would be William Paterson. And what William Paterson would eventually end up doing for the SUM organization would be giving them tax breaks to start doing their construction here. After this, we were finally able to start building, and we realized, well, now we got to build our power source. So in 1794, we'd invite a man from Washington, D.C. His name would be Pierre Charles L'Enfant, who built a lot of the layout and buildings for Washington, D.C., to come here and build our first power source, which would be our canal system here. Now, from this canal system, there's three parts of it. Right now, we're standing in the beginning, which is called the Upper Raceway, but we also have the Middle and Lower Raceway, where all the water gathers up and goes back out towards the river. Now, this canal was very important, mainly because this was going to be our start of actual industry here, where once its completion in the 1830s, we were finally able to really start booming our economy and start building the industry that we wanted here.
So the building to our left is the hydroelectric power plant.
That's correct. This building, we switched over to this building in 1914 when we realized, well, our canal system, yes, we used it in the beginning, but eventually it was becoming a little bit obsolete. We had about 600 factories just on top of one canal. Basically, it was getting a little too claustrophobic, I like to say. And with that, eventually Thomas Edison's corporation would come out here and assist us in actually creating our hydroelectric power plant, where this plant is still fully active present day. It is still powering our city, powering at least 10,000 homes within the city of Paterson, which is awesome to see. Where we're standing now, we are located at Mary Ellen Kramer Park. This is where you can actually get real close and personal with not only our natural, but also our sounds of our waterfall here. Now, why we're here is mainly because with this section of the park, it's named after. She would actually be the reason why this park still stands today. What would end up happening is in the 1970s, her husband, the former mayor, Mayor Pat Kramer, would have a project in mind, which would be called our highway project. This highway project was going to bring a waterfall and divert it from Route 80, and bring it straight throughout this area, kind of destroying the waterfall in the process. Now, with this idea in mind, Mary Ellen, she was a very big preservationist, and she believed that this resource needed to be protected. So she would end up forming organizations that would write out and reach out to a lot of different people, eventually reaching a president in 1976, which his name would be Gerald Ford. He would designate our waterfall a national natural landmark, which would protect it and put a halt to the construction process of this bridge being made. If it wasn't for her, the National Park Service wouldn't be here till this day, where this would, I like to say, lead or guide us into becoming a national park or national historical park here inside the city of Paterson in 2009, and finally being established in 2011.
Michael, I want to thank you for this amazing tour of the Paterson Great Falls National Historical Park.
I'm very thankful for you guys coming out here today and being able to walk around with us and learn a little bit along the way as we're walking around.
And we will be back for another visit. And Little Falls, we will see you on our next episode. Have a great day, everybody.